Welcome back to This is VANCOLOUR. Vancouver is the only major city in Canada with a democratically elected park board. 2 years ago, Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim asked the government of BC to amend the Vancouver Charter in order to dissolve the park board and transfer all of the park board's powers, assets, and responsibilities to Vancouver City Council. Something Mayor Sim says would save Vancouver about $7 million a year. Last week, the government of BC announced that Vancouver voters would need to decide if they want to get rid of Park Board through a referendum before the province could authorize that change. Here to unpack why Vancouver has a park board to begin with, a former 3-term Vancouver Park Board Commissioner, John Coupar. John, hello. So nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Well, for people outside of the city of Vancouver who do not have a democratically elected park board, explain to me why the city of Vancouver has a park board to begin with, because we're very unique in that regard.
Sure. It started right after the city was incorporated in 1886. In 1887, the park board was created as a result of what was the Dominion of Canada at that time, giving jurisdiction to the area we call Stanley Park, over 900 acres, to the city of Vancouver. The first act really of the new council was to create a park board because they thought it was important that there be folks there that were really just looking after, in this case, a park, but then looking to the future parks.
Okay. Now, Mayor Ken Sim has basically wanted to abolish Park Board, absorbing it into the larger bureaucracy, but basically under the purview of City Council itself. As we've discussed, Vancouver is very unique. I know Cultus Lake has a park board as well, but in Canada, in terms of major cities, Victoria doesn't have a park board and they have some nice parks. So what's the difference if it's democratically elected or if it's just part of the bureaucracy under City Council?
Well, I think there's a few things that make a difference. The first is if you look at major North American cities, not counting somewhere like Victoria, which is, a provincial capital. If you look at Toronto, if you look at Seattle, if you look at other major cities, New York, and look at the access that they have to waterfront compared to the access that we have to waterfront, that's a result of having an independent elected park board and a board that has really had their eye on the ball for these many, many years. Since that time. So you see the seawall that was created, that started around Stanley Park. That was a park board initiative that continued. And now it runs all the way to Kitsilano Beach. Continuous, the seawall. I've heard various stories of, when English Bay used to be, there used to be housing along English Bay. There was a hotel on English Bay, the Anglesea Lodge, I believe. It was the park board that, really pushed to get all that removed from the waterfront. And we've seen that the same in False Creek. When False Creek was developed, originally the city planners wanted to have some of the apartments right on the water. And it was the park board, the general manager at the time, his name was Vic Kondrowski, who basically said, over my dead body, we're going to have a continuous seawall. There's always been tension between the city and the park board. And I think that's a good thing because in many events, all over many, many years, that tension has resulted in a better system of parks and recreation for Vancouver.
Okay. So you're saying instead of City Council just overseeing everything, it is good to have a park board that is really just dedicated by the voters of Vancouver to look after parks.
Well, I think so. And I think if you look at the 240 parks we have, and you look at the community centers across Vancouver that are run by nonprofits, we have our staff there, the park board has staff there, but they're really dealing with what that neighborhood wants, developing programs. They hire all the educators and trainers and that sort of thing. So each of those communities are unique. I don't think we want to lose that. And also the park board is very good value. On a budget of about 1.6 billion, I think the city, the park board costs the city about $100 million roughly because they cost about 200 in total, but half of that is revenue that the park board generates itself. So it's an exceptionally good deal. And the other thing that I'm surprised that the mayor, who's supposed to be such a great accountant,
well, he said this is going to save us $7 million a year, right? So that's pretty good.
Well, $7 million on a budget of 1.6 billion is a rounding error. I'm sorry, but if you look at the full-time equivalent staff in the city of Vancouver, And you'll see the park board right now has 1,268 employees. Corporate support at the city of Vancouver has 1,474.
What's corporate support?
Don't know. Must be doing a lot of good work that we're not aware of. So I think that might be the first place the mayor should look.
Okay,
That seems like a big number.
Yeah.
That's a lot of employees. And I've heard many people talk about this. And the park board has faced cuts before. In 2008, when we had the financial crisis, and we had a city manager who ordered some cuts, we lost some really key things that were loved by Vancouverites. So, I think the mayor needs to do a little more homework. Originally, he said he was going to fix the park board.
Mm-hmm.
He came in and said he was going to fix the park board. He, was talking how great he was going to make it. And then within a year, he changed his mind and closed. He was going to fix the train. He fixed the train. He had a big thing. He had a ribbon cutting.
He was going to save the Stanley Park
train.
train.
It lasted a couple of runs, and then it's not running again. So his record is pretty poor.
Every time we see the park board, however, I feel like there's some controversy why it's in the news. I mean, we just saw this thing with JK Rowling and the park board disavowing her. Is this a matter of electing the right people to park board or structurally fixing park board in your mind? Because obviously you want to keep it.
Yeah, I think we've had some terrific commissioners over many, many years that have done great things in Vancouver. And I think we've seen over the years, somebody like Mayor Philip Owen, who came from the park board up to City Hall. There was kind of a way that it used to work in Vancouver. If you were seeking elective office, you kind of learned, got your spurs basically at park board or school board, and then you went to council, and then maybe if you did some really good work, you might get a shot at the mayor's job. Sure. We've seen now, we just see people kind of pop in, and all of a sudden they want to be the mayor and they don't have any experience. The controversies, I would say that the Broadway plan, which has no amenities, no parks to speak of that have been added, is a much bigger controversy than the park board, voting to apologize for an event that they had. Now, I get it. It got a lot of coverage, and there are those people who say, oh, that's exactly why you should. It's not the institution. It's not the structure. You just have to make sure you do your due diligence, and when you elect people, you know who they are.
Absolutely. John, I appreciate this overview of what the park board is and why it's important and why Vancouver is unique in this regard. So thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Folks, that was former 3-term Vancouver Park Board Commissioner John Coupar. Now, after some business, we'll end on a lighter note to find out how Monica Lewinsky ended up cheering on a Victoria real estate agent's quest for love. That's up next.